Well, judging by the early box office success, the extinction of the Jurassic Park franchise seems to be nowhere close to becoming a reality. But is this actually a rebirth, as the title would suggest, or was this just a rehash of the same old, same old? What is going on, everybody, and welcome to my review for Jurassic World Rebirth. This is the 7th film overall in the Jurassic Park franchise and the 4th Jurassic World movie that we have gotten. A little history dealing with me and this franchise. I'm not the biggest fan of the Jurassic Park franchise. I saw them way later in life. I'm one of the only people I actually know that didn't go through a dinosaur phase as a kid. I had to read the book in my first year of college, and then I decided to watch the movies after that. So I was about 18 by the time I actually saw the first Jurassic Park film, but I completely understand the magic that is that movie. It is an astonishing achievement in filmmaking, but I do think it's an example of a great movie that has birthed a, what I would describe as, at best, up and down movie franchise, much like Jaws and The Exorcist and stuff like that. You get the first Jurassic Park, which is a very groundbreaking, revolutionary film, and so obviously a studio is going to want to capitalize off the success of that, and then we get Jurassic Park 2, The Lost Kingdom, which I think is fine. It's a so-so movie, but enjoyable enough. And then you get Jurassic Park Part 3 that is pretty goofy, but there is some guilty pleasure to have in there. And then we fast forward and we get the Jurassic World franchise, and I think it kicks off really strong. I like the first Jurassic World movie. They really kind of double down and hone in on the action side of things, but after that, the franchise started to take a turn for the worse when we got Fallen Kingdom, which, you know, it's not the worst movie of all time, but it's not really an easy watch because a lot of the sad things that happen regarding the dinosaurs in that movie. But then the Jurassic franchise really fell off a cliff in my eyes when it comes to Dominion. I think that is an absolutely awful movie that really takes the focus off of dinosaurs for whatever reason and decides to shine their light on locusts and corporate espionage. You do get the returning original cast in this movie, but they don't really do anything with them. They don't interact with dinosaurs whatsoever, so they're really just nostalgia bait at the end of the day and don't actually do anything to provide something of substance to this movie. So going into Jurassic World Rebirth, I really didn't have any strong feelings for it. Like I said, it's not a franchise that I grew up with. I don't have any deep attachments or nostalgia for it. And they're coming off of what I think is easily the worst movie in the franchise. So I really didn't know where to set my expectations for Rebirth. But even with coming off of their worst movie, there is still clearly a lot of demand for these movies. All of the Jurassic World films, in spite of their varying degrees of quality, have grossed over $1 billion. And this one seems to be well on its way to, at the very least, come pretty close to that number. And when I arrived to the movie theater, it was an absolutely electric atmosphere. It was a packed house, the show was sold out, and the workers had said that that had been the case for all of the showings they had had for the day up to that point. So I started to get pretty jazzed up for this movie and was really hoping that it would turn out to be the crowd pleaser that all of the fans are hoping it would be. But did it actually end up being that case, and was Rebirth an actual rebirth for the franchise that it so desperately needed to be? Well, before I get into my likes and dislikes, I'd like to ask that while you're here, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel as well for more movie reviews and content. I would greatly appreciate it. Get down in the comments below and tell me your thoughts on the Jurassic Park / World franchise. I would love to read everything you guys have to say. Now let's get into the review. So starting with the positives, and I feel like with each Jurassic World movie that has been released, they have progressively gotten further and further away from what fans love so much about this franchise. And I think the biggest thing that Rebirth here accomplishes is that it feels like it gets back to the basics. The focus is finally put back onto the dinosaurs. Now, it does feel a little weird to praise them for this because the focus should have never been taken off of the dinosaurs. These are dinosaur movies in a dinosaur franchise, but nonetheless, they do right that wrong and fix that issue that the previous two movies have created, and they give the fans what they want: more dinosaurs. dinosaurs. And they look absolutely phenomenal. This might be the best looking Jurassic World movie we have gotten thus far. Gareth Edwards as a director always delivers on the special effects aspect. With movies like Rogue One and Godzilla and The Creator under his belt, he has proven that his films are always going to be solid in that department. The environments are beautiful. We're back in the jungle. It's recreating that environment and that feel of the original movies. And this is easily the best the dinosaurs have ever looked in this entire franchise. You also get a really great cast here. Scarlett Johansson is a phenomenal actress. She's one of the best of the last quarter century, and she can wear many different hats given the movie that she is in. And she has shown time and time again through the MCU that she is more than capable of sliding into this action star leading role, and she once again does so flawlessly here. You also get Mahershala Ali, who is much of the same. He is an Oscar caliber actor who can do anything that you need him to do, and I really enjoyed his character in this movie. Jonathan Bailey is an actor that's experiencing a bit of a breakout as of late. He's coming off of his performance in Wicked, which was a massively successful movie, and I really enjoyed him in it. And now with Rebirth, he seems to have another massive money-making movie under his belt. He's an actor I've had my eye on for a little bit now. I discovered him on the show Bridgerton, which, believe it or not, I'm a bit of a guilty pleasure enjoyer of that show, and he's always one of the main standouts of it. And then you get the rest of the cast rounded out by some solid contributions from the likes of Rupert Friend and others as well. Now, they're not the deepest batch of characters you'll ever see in a movie, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but when you have blockbusters like this that are more so relying on big action sequences and spectacle and things of that nature, I can be a little bit more lenient on that. If you want to have movie stars in your movie for the sake of just having big movie stars in your movie, and that's all you're really asking of them, I feel like this is the kind of movie where you can get away with it a little bit more. But speaking of those action sequences, there are some really solid ones in here. I think the biggest standout is the one that takes place a little early in the movie on a ship where they get attacked by a Mosasaurus and a group of Spinosaurus, I believe is what they're all called. And then there's another one where they're in a nest and they get attacked by this more bird-like dinosaur. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the names or just don't have the names for these dinosaurs. I already told you I didn't go through a dinosaur phase as a kid. I'm not a paleontologist. This isn't Ross Geller talking to you into this microphone right now. I'm trying my best. If I got any of that wrong, you'll just have to forgive me. Also, for the bookends of the movie, the intro and the third act, they really leaned back into the horror aspect that I enjoyed so much about the original Jurassic Park. It's really only in those two moments. I wish we could have got some more in the middle, but I will take what I can get. I would love one day to get a full-on horror Jurassic Park movie, just rated R, full of blood and gore, but I don't think we'll ever get that because these movies just make way too much money, and making that kind of Jurassic Park film really narrows the audience of who will receive your movie well or be able to even see it. So that's kind of a pipe dream of mine, but it is a movie that I would love to see one day. Last thing to shout out here, and it's really no surprise, the score for this movie is awesome. The Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies have always had really good music. Whether or not the movie itself is good or bad is besides the point. The soundtrack always slaps, and just like in every other Jurassic Park movie, when the bigger moments happen, the music really goes a long way to amplify those moments, as any great score should. Moving on to the negatives now, and even though Jurassic World Rebirth does get back to a lot of the basics that made the original film so great, it does not necessarily mean that it has the same effect, and unfortunately, this movie still does make a lot of the same mistakes that the other Jurassic World movies have made. The story for Rebirth is structured almost identically to other films we have seen in this franchise. The reason I didn't give you guys the basic premise of it at the top of the video is because this is the kind of movie where I can't even give you the basic premise without just telling you everything about the movie. And if you have seen the trailers, then you pretty much already know how this movie story plays out. It offers absolutely nothing new or surprising. It's a lot of the same twists and turns we have seen before. There are sequences in this movie that are either recreations or just flat out copies of sequences from past films. And I think this is the third Jurassic movie in a row where we have gotten the exact same villain with the exact same motivations. And even though this movie is not necessarily trying to keep it a secret, it is still far too predictable and repetitive. As I said in the positives, I did enjoy the cast here on a performance level, but as characters, they do leave a lot to be desired. Superficially, they're really entertaining, but I felt about them a lot like how I felt about Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard's characters in the first 3 Jurassic World movies. They give fine performances and are really good at just being movie stars in a summer blockbuster, but when you have a story that is as cookie cutter as this one is, it would have been nice to be able to kind of dig beneath that surface a little bit as it pertains to these characters. And what makes it even more frustrating is I feel like there was room to do so had they not gotten in their own way. And how they do that is there are 2 groups of characters in this movie. You have the main group with Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali, but then there's this secondary group that is a father and his 2 daughters, and one of the daughters' insufferable boyfriends, by far the worst part of the movie, and they end up in a shipwreck and get rescued by our main group of characters. And then inevitably when they do get separated, it cuts back and forth between the 2, and I think that just kills any momentum that the more interesting group of characters is able to build. If we just didn't have that secondary group, we could have focused more on them and kind of stretched out their characters a little bit and explored them a little bit more effectively, and I think that would have made for a better movie. Even though this movie does bring the focus back onto the dinosaurs, they do bring something over from the previous Jurassic World films that I wish they hadn't, and that is that they once again decided to go the mutant route. This is just not something that's ever really interested me. I think the dinosaurs as they are completely capable of being both majestic and terrifying when they need to be. I don't need this mutated, monstrous, mega dinosaur to get involved, and I think it kind of just turns it all into a very generic, forgettable monster movie. I think they just need to do what they did in the better parts of the movie and stick to the basics. You know, give me the T-Rex, give me the Mosasaurus. I think that's the much better route to go. I hope in any future Jurassic World movies we can really leave this mutant thing in the past. So all in all, guys, I think Jurassic World Rebirth was an enjoyable and fun enough time, but I also think it'll be the final confirmation that some people still need, that we are probably never going to get a Jurassic movie that recaptures the magic of that original Jurassic Park, because I just don't really think there's anything they can do at this point to achieve that. I think these movies are what they are now. They are big, dumb, fun summer blockbusters that are made to get as close to that $1 billion mark for the box office as possible. And unless they allow someone to come in and creatively overhaul the franchise, I think that is what they will continue to be for the near and distant future. So if what you are craving is that dumb summer fun, which is pretty much the crowd that I was in, then I think you will also have a fun time with this movie. But if you are someone who is still somehow holding out hope that this will be the movie that returns this IP to its glory days, then I think once again you will be left disappointed. Now on my grading scale, this does fall in the stream it category, but this is the kind of movie where the experience is enhanced by seeing it on the biggest screen possible. So if you have liked what you have seen from the trailers and the promotions, then by all means definitely go check this movie out in the theater, even though my score doesn't necessarily reflect it. But if what you have seen feels like a lot of the same old to you, even though I promise you this movie is better than Dominion, then you probably will want to wait. But those are all of the thoughts I have for Jurassic World Rebirth. Make sure to get down in the comments below and tell me what you thought about the movie. Also, don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel as well for more movie reviews and content, and I will see you all in my next one. Peace.